Hey everybody, I'm Jeff Lanoski, and that's the Phoenix Airport. And I'm gonna show you how to never pay to fly your mountain bike again. Assuming that your mountain bike is a 26-inch dirt jump or trials bike. All right, so honestly, this is a pretty unique situation, but I travel a lot. Last year I traveled 80,000 miles. That's about 1.5 trips a month. $300 round trip. I saved about $5,400 using this technique. So if you can get any kind of tips from this, you could probably save yourself a bunch of money. All right, so what you're gonna need to do is go to the store and find the biggest hockey goalie bag you can find and put your bike inside it. So I took my mountain bike to the store ahead of time just to make sure that the frame would fit in the bag. One of the best uses for removable grips is that it makes it very, very easy to travel with your bike. So the first thing I do is take both grips off the handlebars. So the next step is going to be to take off the brake levers. I'd actually like to do this in real time to show you how quickly this actually goes when you do this as often as I do. Now that I have the grips and the brakes off the handlebars, it's time to take off the front wheel. I travel with a pad that I'll use for packing material, but it makes it a good place to put down the bike. Next thing I do is take off the back wheel. I like to take the back axle and put it back in the frame and hang the chain on it. It keeps everything in place. Next thing to come off is gonna be my pedals. And this is the one thing I always do the wrong way. Remember to spin them towards the back of the bike to pull them off, and when you thread them back in, they go towards the front. In order to give myself as much room in the bag as possible, I take off the back brake, and then I put these bolts back in the adapter so that I won't lose them. Once I have all that stuff off, it's time to take off the handlebars. So I pull off the top cap and loosen the stem and remove that whole assembly. I take the handlebars completely off, set them aside, and then I pull the fork out and make sure I keep all the headset parts in place. And then I take all the headset parts and put them back on the steer tube in the order that they go. And I put the top cap on top to make sure everything stays in place. And then that way I won't lose anything. There you go. The first thing to go into the bike bag is my fork. And I stick it inside this feedback bag that I have that was obviously for something else. And I put it face down with the brake up in the back. The second thing that goes in the bag is the frame. I put it in diagonal, put the back end in first, squeeze in the front end. When you put the frame in on a diagonal, you have extra room. Next two things to go in the bag are my helmet and my shoes. I usually put my helmet back here where there's lots of room, and then the shoes go in the front right there. Then I take my packing material and my bike pad, put it right there. If you travel with your bike a lot, center lock rotors are seriously the best invention that I've ever found. Rotor comes off with one bolt, and then I put that back on the wheel so I don't lose it. I pre-loosen these with the proper tool, but anytime you could travel with your rotors off, you're definitely gonna save yourself a headache because chances are they're always going to get bent. In order to squeeze this bike in here, I need to let all the air out. I run tubes in my tires since this is my trials bike, so letting all the air out is never a problem. I put my back wheel in first, and since it's the first wheel in, I put it in a wheel bag. That way it has a little bit of protection between the frame and the wheel, but in case anything fell out of the rear hub or anything, it's trapped inside the wheel bag. The reason I let the air out is because it makes the wheel small enough to fit in the bag. Back wheel goes in first, front wheel goes in second. Next up I have this pocket that looks like it was made for grips and pedals. So I take the grips and pedals and I put them in that pocket. Handlebars are the last thing to go in, and I just squeeze the stem in between some spokes, lay it on top, and then just shimmy things around until you get it all zipped up. Once everything is in there nice and tight, I like to put the rotors on the outside, and I put those in a separate bag just to keep everything clean. Put that in the outside pocket, put my tool in there. Now that everything's packed up, it's time to head to the airport. Okay, thank you. There you go, all checked in, headed back to Jersey. I know that most of you won't be traveling with a dirt jump bike or a trials bike, but maybe it just inspires you to try to do something so you're not forking over $300 every single time you fly. So hopefully that gives you some ideas, and I will see you out on the trail.